How's it going, guys? This is Byron from Modern Muscle Extreme here. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Hellcat Supercharger Adapter Kit by Modern Muscle Extreme. I'm going to touch on a little bit of what the kit is, what it isn't, what it does fit, what it doesn't fit, and hopefully give you guys a little bit better information. We've just made some posts, and you guys have been emailing back and forth, and I just want to give a little bit more information so you guys know what you're actually getting with this kit. Currently, what we're actually offering is the actual adapter plates to bolt the Hellcat Supercharger onto your 6.4 or 5.7 Eagle base cylinder heads. Okay, that's the first step, and then you're going to need the gaskets. That's also an option. The other part of the kit is the 6.4 and 5.7 front accessory drive, and what this actually does is it lets you run the Hellcat Supercharger off of the stock spacing and stock accessory drive system of a 5.7 or 6.4. Basically what it is it's a plate that mounts to your front cover, and it has two idlers on it, and it gets the large amount of belt wrap and the correct spacing and everything for the Supercharger adapter kit. Okay, the third part of the kit is the actual Supercharger bypass valve here, and that has been the major hurdle other than the adapter plates for putting the Hellcat Supercharger on a 6.4. And essentially what this is it's a vacuum actuated bypass valve to shut and allow boost to happen when the engine sees a decrease in vacuum, just like a Whipple would operate, or a Kinney Bell. They both use a vacuum actuated bypass valve. So essentially it's going to be the same thing. This is just our version of it for the Hellcat Supercharger. Now, the other thing we posted on our Instagram video was an actual controller to control the stock bypass valve that goes here, the electronic one. I don't have a lot of details about that right now. I'm going to be able to tell you a lot more about that here in probably a month or so. So we'll be able to run down what that is, and essentially it's going to let you use the stock bypass valve, like I said, and it's going to be a variable rate boost controller. That way it's very linear with the throttle pedal, and it's going to work essentially like a stock Hellcat. So that's the three parts of the kit. That's the main parts we offer. Now, the other things you're going to need a Supercharger coolant pump, like would come with a Whipple. We're going to offer a few parts on the website, but we're never going to offer a full kit per se, as that is very hard to do between 5.7, 6.4s, and Chargers and Challengers. There's too many variations of everything for us to offer, like here's a complete kit bolted onto your car and go. This is going to require fabrication. It's going to require some knowledge and a little bit of skill to make this work. It is doable, but there's some hurdles that you're going to have to overcome to actually make it work. Okay, so some extra things you're going to need in addition to our kit to make this work. You're going to need a Supercharger coolant pump. You're going to need an actual intercooler, like would come in a Whipple kit, or possibly like a Durali plate fan cooler. We're going to offer a few things on the website, like a pump and a cooler, like a universal fit application. Again, this isn't a full kit. You're going to have to fabricate some things. So another thing being the actual map sensor. The Hellcat uses a different map sensor than like a standard 6.4. So what we did, we actually spliced into and used the factory Hellcat map sensor that also has an IAT sensor within it. So you're going to have to take your stock harness and do a little converting there. We're going to hopefully offer an adapter to just plug and play with the Hellcat map sensor, and then it's going to require Hellcat map sensor scaling within the 6.4 or 5.7 tune for whatever you want to run. So now that I've told you a little bit about a couple of pieces and parts you're going to need, I want to go into what this actually fits as far as our front drive and the adapter plates. Okay, because I've been getting a lot of questions about this. Does this work on my Ram truck? Does this work on my 6.1? The answer to those are no, and I'll get into that in a minute. But what it does fit is 2011 and up, 5.7 VVT and 6.4 VVT car engines, not truck, car engines. That is what this adapter plate is made for. Is the 5.7 and the 6.4 share the same timing cover, pulley spacing, and all that. This does fit electronic power steering equipped cars and regular cars with an actual power steering pump. We made sure that the pulley spacing will work with both, so it will work on either. This does not fit 09 and 10 VVT, as they share, or they are a completely different spacing between, the old 6.1 accessory drive spacing and the new 6.4 VVT accessory drive spacing. So once again, 2011 and up, 5.7 VVT and 6.4 VVT card, that's what this fits, and that's what the adapter plates for the heads fit, and then the bypass valve, obviously that's related to the supercharger. So with all that being said, I'll get into what it doesn't fit, and that is the 6.1. And that is the number one question that I'm getting right now is, well, why doesn't it fit the 6.1? And the issue here is, there's a couple issues that a lot of guys don't think about. The 6.4 block actually has the front of the block. There is a casting there because the coolant temperature sensor actually goes into the block there, as where a VVT based engine, it is in the water pump. So it's not a spacing issue. So we don't know right now if our adapter plates are thick enough to actually clear the Hellcat Supercharger, to the block on the 6.1. That is the first issue. Otherwise, the adapter plates physically bolt to the 6.1 head, but like I said, we don't know on the block. And then the other issue is the actual accessory drive spacing. Non-VVT engine uses the accessories. They're ran 400 thousandths further rearward than a VVT-based engine. So obviously, our pulley bracket setup here is not going to work. Okay, and then the other question I'm getting a lot is the Ram truck. Will this fit my Ram? And the answer right now is no. And the main issue here is the Ram alternator location. On a newer VVT-based Ram, the alternator sits roughly in this area, right where the throttle body and the snout of the supercharger is. So you couldn't even put the adapters, if you put the adapters on the cylinder heads, your blower snout is probably going to hit where the alternator actually mounts on the Ram. So there's a couple ways around that. I mean, you could possibly run a car timing cover in a Ram. I've seen that done before, but once again, it's completely custom, and no, it's not going to directly bolt onto your Ram truck, either early or late, just because of the way that the accessories are driven up here. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need to know to actually physically bolt the supercharger on your 5.7 or 6.4 is there's a few modifications that you have to do, and the first one is the timing cover. There's actually this casting here into the timing cover that's going to be on your VVT 5.7 or 6.4. You're going to have to cut this, and I have a cut one here I'm going to show you. Because the issue is, it's actually going to hit the actual drive here. Underneath of the blower snout would actually hit that, so we have to cut it. So this is what it's going to look like when it's cut. Just like that. It's a very simple deal. You can bolt your timing cover, run it through a bandsaw, whatever you got to do to cut that off. The next thing being after that will physically let you go ahead and bolt down your adapter plates, bolt your supercharger on, and then install our front drive. The actual front drive itself does not require any modifications. It is a bolt-on ordeal. It comes with the pulleys and the brackets that you need to make that work. And the other thing that you're actually going to need is a regular Metco upper supercharger pulley and hub for a Hellcat. You can buy that for just a standard Hellcat, and that's going to work. And what we've actually done is just taken a stock Metco upper pulley. We put the hub on here, and then we actually took the pulley and just flipped it around. And it actually worked out to be able to run the belt off of essentially the middle 6 ribs. So that's already brought up some questions and some concerns, as yes, this places a lot more load on the supercharger bearings here, and we are aware that these are prone to have issues. The thing is here, the stock 6.4 belt tensioner only has about 28 pounds of tensioning force, as to where a Hellcat can have upwards of 40 pounds of force. So you're really not putting anywhere near as much load on this as you would on like a stock Hellcat. So what we're trying to get across here is this is an entry-level deal. If you just want to bolt this on and go, on a stock 6.4, this is going to make between 5 to 7 pounds of boost roughly, as best as we can calculate. And if you want to go much more than 8 or 10 pounds of boost, we would highly recommend doing a Hellcat Supercharger front drive conversion And what that would entail is the oil pan from a Hellcat, the timing cover from a Hellcat, all the supercharger belt pulleys from a Hellcat, and the Hellcat water pump as well, and possibly Hellcat alternators, things of that nature. So it's really involved swap. We are going to try and offer that as a kit here to sell you the oil pan, the timing cover, and the water pump, so that way you could bolt it on to your 5.7 or your 6.4, and then you could run the standard Hellcat 10-rib drive setup. And then obviously there would be no timing cover modifications. That would be a bolt-on deal as well, but that is going to be very expensive as the OEM parts are very costly. Okay, so another issue that we're going to have to address here, and a lot of people, there was a lot of questions raised as to why we have Hellcat valve covers on here. And the issue being, and what a lot of people aren't thinking about, you can bolt this on to your standard 6.4, 5.7, but when you do that, you lose the capability to put oil in the engine, and you also lose a positive crankcase ventilation system. So the easiest way we figured to do that is to just bolt Hellcat valve covers on, and that way we have a way to put oil in this, and we have a positive crankcase ventilation system. Okay, so if you don't do that and all you do is bolt the Hellcat Supercharger onto your 6.4 with the standard black plastic valve covers, what's going to happen is you're actually going to pressurize the crankcase, because there's no way for the pressure and the vapors to recirculate through the engine. So like I said, we did Hellcat valve covers. There's a couple different ways around that. The easiest way obviously is buying the Hellcat valve covers, and then you can run yourself a catch can or whatever. That way you have a nice PCV system, and you have a way to put oil in the engine. That makes other issues that people don't think about, like the coils on a Hellcat are flipped backwards from what you would normally have on a 6.4. Like these are facing down, the 6.4 one's face up, so you could have wiring issues. You may have to extend the coil connectors. You could, there's a couple different aftermarket valve covers out there. You could possibly tap for an oil fill and then do your own crankcase ventilation system. Okay, so basically the valve cover situation is going to be something you're going to have to handle on your own. It is an issue you're going to have to address, so we just wanted to make you aware of it before you get into this project, that you're going to have to source your own valve covers. All right, so the very last thing I want to address is a lot of questions we've been getting on Facebook and Instagram is the Hellcat Supercharger stock makes 11 pounds of boost, and that's going to blow up my stock bottom end 6.4. Not exactly. It's not going to make the same boost level, one, because of the 6-rib drive. The second thing being the stock 6.4 lower balancer is 23% smaller than a standard Hellcat damper. So right off the bat, there's 23% less boost. Okay, and then another thing that people forget about is the 6.4 has a little bit, the camshaft is a little bit different than a Hellcat. So, anytime you do something to increase engine airflow and decrease pumping losses, you're going to lower the boost level, and that's something that's very hard for a lot of people to understand. Is the more efficient that you make an engine, the less boost that it's going to tend to produce, but you're still going to make a good power number. So hopefully that answers a few questions there as far as the stock bottom end 6.4. Like I said earlier, according to the math that I've done on stock bottom end 6.4 with a stock size Hellcat upper, Metco does offer the 335, which is the stock Hellcat size. That would be my recommendation to run on the stock 6.4. It should make, like I said, between 5 to 7 pounds of boost on a stock bottom end 6.4, which should put you right there in the safe range on the stock. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I've answered all your questions today about the Hellcat Supercharger Adapter Kit by Modern Muscle Extreme. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email at info@modernmuscleperformance.com.